Morning everyone, just a very quick one, and it's about the process of therapy and the aftermath of therapy, because I know that for many people having therapy can feel like quite an ambiguous or unknown process. And one of the things that I learned through my therapy sessions, so as a therapist I was required to have 80 hours of my own personal therapy, and when I started it, I wasn't entirely sure I needed it. By the end, I knew I had needed it, and it honestly changed my life. And that's part of my motivation for wanting to be a therapist. And one of the things that I learned was to process things. So that's not just to go through them blithely, not thinking about things, but to really think about the impact of certain life events on myself, and to think about how I feel about them and what that means for me, and to work through that, to go through those feelings, as in to really feel them and sit with them and come out the other side, instead of pushing them down, ignoring them, blocking them. So, it's almost like the difference between walking awake and sleepwalking. I now walk awake in a way that I wasn't able to do in my 20s or before I had therapy. And so I go back to this idea that I have some reading glasses for the first time in my life. Got them a couple of weeks ago. I haven't got them with me. I'll take a photo later and show you. And when I was first told I needed glasses, or when I was aware that I needed glasses, I felt my heart sink. And it feels like such a small thing, but it really brought me face to face with my mortality, as in, your body is finally starting to fail. And obviously, I'm in my 40s. There have been things like joint ache, the sorts of things, joints stiffening up, not as fit as I used to be. Don't metabolize food in quite the same way as I used to. But these are, they were very slow. This almost felt like quite a sudden kind of life stage to have hit. Your eyes are failing. Your eyes are getting older. And my first reaction was to feel quite shocked and anxious about my impending death, which is so far from happening. But that's where my brain went. And I sat with that for a week or so, feeling quite stressed about it and quite anxious about it. And I was aware of these feelings. And I thought about it, and I spoke to people who had glasses. And, part of me then went down this route of, some people have had glasses since they were tiny. It's not, and I used logic on myself. It's not a sign you're about to die. And, these are the almost, and I would never describe a client this way, but I do describe myself this way, that it's a silly route to go down, in the sense of there is no substance to it. There is no substance of truth to it. My mind was going down a anxious and illogical route. And, I suppose this forms part of CBT. It's talking to yourself logically, saying this is a silly thing to get worried about. And I bought some new glasses, and I actually loved them, and I still love them. And they've got a bluish-green tint to the frames, which I love, so I made sure I got something that I absolutely loved in terms of the colour and the style. But more than anything else, I love wearing them. And in a sense, it's allowed me to embrace the next stage of my life as an adult who needs reading glasses. And the reason I love them, as well as liking the colour and the look of them, I love the fact that I can read clearly again. I've been avoiding reading for 6 months and wasn't entirely sure why. I thought it was tiredness, but I think it was actually eye tiredness. It was too difficult to read. And so by fully feeling the feelings I was feeling and acknowledging them and identifying the root of them, it's allowed me to go through this kind of journey to a point where now I'm quite excited about wearing glasses. And I can see a point where I will be excited when I have to start full-time wearing glasses, which I have no doubt will happen at some point in the next decade or 3. And so for me, part of the aftermath of having had therapy is the fact that whenever anything in life happens, however seemingly small or insignificant, if it impacts me, I can go through this process, and almost it's like I have my therapist in my head, and I'm working through that with her. I've internalised the lessons that she taught me and the work that we did together, so that I can now, certainly with small things like, needing glasses, bringing on the end of life, I can now do that process myself. And that is what I would hope for all my clients, because I don't think it's healthy to need a therapist your entire life. Obviously, if there are, more significant issues, you might need longer therapy, to be in therapy for a longer period of time than other people. But my hope for each of my clients is that you can get to a point where you don't need me anymore. and there may be something big that comes up, and you might need me for maybe 6 sessions, in 2 or 3 years' time or 10 years' time, or another therapist to work through a very specific issue. That's what my hope is. My end goal for each of my clients is that at some point you feel equipped enough and confident enough to be able to go out on your own and only return for the odd thing that is new and big and just feels too overwhelming, just to get a little bit of support to help you get over that next hurdle. So that's something I wanted to share with you as a way to explain how the process of therapy works, and also the independence that comes after therapy. I hope that's helpful and of interest, and kind of explains how a little bit more about how the whole therapy thing works. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I'm still in the UK. I will be back in Stockholm next week, so I expect I will post this when I'm back in Stockholm. Take care.